What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Stefan, and tonight I'm going to be talking about and celebrating one of the greatest, multi-talented, beloved, undisputed, musical, gorgeous beauties on her birthday. Yes, it's the late, great queen of music, Miss Whitney Houston. So sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself on this musical and birthday celebration with me throughout the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. Welcome back to the channel if you're a returning subscriber. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications for new videos. Thank y'all for your daily support and love. I appreciate it so much. So here we go. Happy heavenly birthday to the most beautiful, angelic, heavenly influence, multi-talented, and greatest vocalist / musical queens of all time. She was cited as the most awarded female artist of all time by Guinness World Records and remains one of the best-selling musical artists of all time with 200 million records sold worldwide. Her crossover appeal on the popular musical charts, as well as her predominance on MTV, starting with her video How Will I Know, influenced several African American women artists who followed in her footsteps. I'll be honest. As a child, music was a big part of my life, and of course it still is today. While I loved hip-hop of the late 80s and the early 90s, R&B music and melodic music period captivated my attention during this period. One woman I constantly grew a liking to based on her voice was Whitney Houston. I remember seeing her sing and being amused by her vocal talent. Younger Whitney was nothing to mess with, as her vocals were usually flawless and she touched souls with her sound. Whitney Houston, the woman with a touch of gold, one who would, at the young age of 22, record her first studio album and wow the world. The one that would take the entertainment music industry by storm and initially set the bar so high that future artists would strive to achieve her level of greatness. If I had to sum her career up in one word, it would be platinum, as nearly everything she recorded and released would be certified platinum and on worldwide charts, and her singles did several consecutive weeks in the #1 spot. Her powerful vocal, stage presence, and on-screen talent will leave such an imprint on music and become a favorite of many. Her catalog is extensive and her hits are plenty. As a little kid growing up in the 90s, Whitney Houston always been one of those amazing, phenomenal, and multi-talented gifts from God. Yes, I was deeply in love with Whitney from a young age, seriously. I mean, who wouldn't be in love with Whitney? This was a tall, multi-talented, and gorgeous black queen with an amazing heavenly voice from God. She was the real deal and truly God-gifted 100%. As I was growing up and still trying to find my musical interests, Whitney Houston was one of the main artists who made me fell in love with real R&B. My first introduction to her music was around the 90s. I think it was the Bodyguard era. I remember watching the video to her song I Have Nothing. Then she came out and started singing. Her heavenly voice moved me to tears, and that's when I became a lifetime fan. But my real and true introduction to her when I became a teenager in high school. The three major Whitney Houston classes that made me into a lifetime fan of her was her and became one of my all-time Whitney Houston favorites were You Give Good Love, Saving All My Love for You, and Run to You. Will there be another Whitney? No. She was one of a kind. Will there be vocalists who owe her success to Whitney for years to come? Oh, you bet your ass, yes. The voice. There aren't enough words to describe how awesome Whitney Houston is. Despite her passion, her legacy stands. When she comes on, you know it's her. The way she floated in between falsetto and powerhouse is simply amazing. I don't even want to discuss how many awards she accumulated because right now it's a moot point. Sometimes I just enjoy basking in her voice control. Whitney had so much passion in her voice. I believe many singers who carry that trait with them because they grew up singing in a church much as Whitney did. Whitney Houston established a benchmark for superstardom that will simply never be eclipsed in the mind ever. She is a singer who has influenced countless many other vocalists, male and female. She could bring feeling of love, pain, and satisfaction to your ears by a turn of a phrase. I remember having one of her albums, I think it was The Bodyguard or her debut. My mom was a huge Whitney Houston fan. I remember her playing Run to You from The Bodyguard on repeat. It was a beautiful song to me that I could never stop playing or get listened to as I got older. Before the drama and the drugs, Whitney was simply the greatest voice we ever had heard in music. Today we look at the woman who not only captivated the world but changed the standard in music. Today, for the birthday celebration of Whitney Houston, I'm going to be celebrating the good times and paying tribute to one of the greatest R&B multi-talented vocalists who ever blessed the world in R&B. So here we go. On August 9th, 1963, this beautiful songbird named Whitney Elizabeth Houston was born in Newark, New Jersey. She was born into a musical family. Her father was an ex-army serviceman and a Newark City administrator named John Russell Houston Jr. Her mother, Cicely Houston, was a gospel and R&B soul singer. After a successful career singing backup for so many artists such as Roy Hamilton, Elvis Presley, Aretha Franklin, she embarked on a solo career, winning 2 Grammy Awards for her work. Also, she sang in a group name called The Sweet Inspirations. Her famous cousins are the famous legendary Leontine Price, D.D. Warwick, and Deanne Warwick. Her godmother was Darlene Love. Now, when it comes to her relationship with Aretha Franklin, there have been numerous rumors about their relationship. There have been rumors about Aretha Franklin being her honorary aunt or godmother. Aretha had close connections to Whitney family and was good friends with her mother, Whitney Houston. Aretha and Cicely friendship began when Cicely sang backup vocalist for Aretha. Cicely would sometimes bring a young Whitney to Aretha's recording session, and a rare interview footage from MTV, Aretha explained her relationship with the Houston family. She said, Whitney's mother, Sister Houston, is a very old friend of mine. We sung together for many, many times. She done a lot of background work with me and accompanied me on a number of dates. And we are old and very good friends. And she used to bring Whitney to some of my recording sessions. Whitney spoke of meeting Whitney as a child and described her as shy. Whitney was, she was still a young and kind of a shy, lonely girl. Lovely girl. Very nice young lady, Aretha added. Aretha also mentioned that she didn't realize how much Whitney looked up to her and how she impacted her early life. I had no idea that Whitney felt as close to me as she does, but it's lovely and it's fabulous, she explained. Whitney Houston grew up around Aretha Franklin and was inspired by her voice and music. Aretha encouraged Whitney and her talent as their friendship grew and as Whitney established herself as an artist. Aretha and Cicely friendship spanned over more than half a century, and they were close until Aretha passed away in 2018. She was raised as a Baptist, but also was exposed to the Pentecostal church. After the 1967 Newark riots, the family moved to a middle-class area in East Orange, New Jersey, when she was 4. Her parents later divorced. Whitney almost seemed destined from birth to become a singer. Cicely Houston was the minister at New Hope Baptist Church, and it was there that a young Whitney Houston got her start. Even as a child, Whitney was able to wow audiences. She later told Diane Sawyer that a response from the congregation at New Hope had a powerful effect upon her. I think I knew then that my singing ability was an affection thing that God has given me. At the age of 11, she began performing as a soloist in the junior gospel choir at the New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, where she also learned how to play the piano. Her first solo performance in the church was "Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah." While Whitney was still in school, her mother, Cicely, continued to teach her how to sing. She spent Some of her teens touring nightclubs where Cicely would perform, and she would occasionally get on stage and perform with her. She was also exposed to the music of Shaka Khan, Gladys Knight, and Roberta Flack, who most of the who will have an influence on her as a singer and a performer. In 1977, at the age of 14, she became a backup singer on the Michael Zingland band single Life Supporting. When she was around 16, she sang background vocals for Shaka Khan and Lou Rawls on a 1980s album Naughty and Shades of Blue, respectively. She attended Mount St. Dominican Academy, a Catholic girls' high school in New Jersey. She graduated in 1981, and during her teens, Whitney met Robin Crawford, who she described as the sister she never had. Robert Crawford went on to become her best friend, roommate, and executive assistant. After Whitney Houston rose to stardom, her and Robin was rumored to be lovers, which they both claimed in 1987. In 2019, several years after her death, Robin Crawford stated that their early relationship included sexual activity, but that Whitney ended this for fear for others' reaction. By the time she was 15, Whitney was performing often with her mother and trying to get her record deal on her own. Around the same time, she was discovered by a photographer who was awed by her natural beauty. She soon became an extremely sought after teen model, one of the first African American women to appear on the cover of 17 magazine. In the early 80s, she began working as a fashion model after a photographer saw her at Carnegie Hall singing with her mother. She became one of the first women of color to appear on the cover of 17. She appeared in Glamorous, Cosmopolitan, and Young Miss, and appeared in a Canada Dry soft drink TV commercial. Her looks and Girl Next Door charms made her one of the most sought after teen models. But music remained her true love. When she was 19, she was discovered in a nightclub by Aristus Records' Clyde Davis, who signed her immediately and took the whim of her career as she navigated from gospel to pop stardom. Clyde Davis was impressed and immediately offered a worldwide record deal, which Whitney eventually signed after being sought after by another label. She has been offering deals by record companies before, by Michael Saylor in 1980 and Etc. Records in 1981, but her mother declined them on the grounds that Whitney had yet completed high school. In 1983, she made her debut on national television, appearing on the Marion Griffin Show to sing Home from the musical Wiz. She and Clyde Davis will spend the next 2 years working on her debut, finding the best producers and songwriters available to showcase her amazing vocal talent. She didn't begin to work on an album immediately. The label wanted to make sure no other label signed her away, and Clyde Davis wanted to ensure that he had the right material and producers for her debut album. Some producers passed on the project because of prior commitments. She first recorded a duet with Teddy Pendergrass called Hold Me, which appeared on his gold album Love Language. The single was released in 1984 and gave Whitney her first taste of success, becoming a top 5 R&B hit. It will also appeared on her debut album in 1985. With production from Michael Massa, Casher, Jermaine Jackson, and Noretta Michael Warden. The legend of Whitney Houston began with the release of her self-titled debut album on February 14, 1985 through Arista Records. Whitney signed with Arista through label boss Clyde Davis, who believed he could turn her into a pop superstar. The album consists of dance pop songs and ballads highlighting her distinct voice, but Whitney said the following in a 1985 interview regarding the direction of the album. I didn't want to go in the studio wanting to make a pop album. I went into the studio to make good music. The album had a slow rise to the top of the pop charts, debuting at 166 on the Billboard 200 before making its way up to number 1, staying there for 14 consecutive weeks in 1986. The album went on to become the top-selling album of 1986 and later was certified diamond with over 10 million copies sold in the U.S. The album was also an international success, achieving multi-platinum status, reaching the top spot on pop charts in multiple countries, leading the sales over 22 million records worldwide. The album lead single You Give Good Love, which was produced by Casher and received gold status after topping the R&B charts while peaking at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. The singles, next 3 singles, Saving My Love for You, How Will I Know, and The Greatest Love of all achieved platinum status after topping the Billboard Hot 100 pop chart. The music video for How Will I Know won Best Female Video at the MTV Music Awards. She won a Grammy Award in 1986 for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance for Saving All My Love for You. She won an Emmy Award for her performance on the song on the Grammys and the Outstanding Individual Performance in a Variety of Music Program category. The album also led her winning 2 American Music Awards in 1986 and 5 more in 1987. Her success also translated to television, where in addition to performing on several late night talk shows such as The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and Late Night with David Letterman, she also became a video star thanks to earlier videos for You Give Good Love and Saving All My Love for You being heavily played on BET and VH1 stations. During this period, Arista and Whitney struggled to get these videos submitted to MTV. At the time, MTV had harsh criticism for not playing enough videos played by Latino, Black, and other racial minorities while favoring white acts. In an interview with MTV's later, she explains the difficulties She and Arista faced while trying to bring You Give Good Love on the channel, but rebuffed it because it was too R&B for their playlist. And eventually her video for Saving All My Love was featured in a light rotation after the song had become a huge pop hit, with Whitney stating that the channel had no choice but to play the video. I love it when they had no choice. By the time her third US single, How Will I Know, was released, a colorful video clip directed by Brian Grant was immediately added to MTV's playlist. Constantly gained heavy rotation on the channel after a couple of weeks and introducing Whitney Houston to the MTV audience. The song became her second consecutive #1 pop hit on the Billboard Hot 100, where it stayed for 2 weeks after also topping the Hot Black and Hot AC charts, peaking at #3 on the dance charts. Following the successful airing of How Will I Know on MTV, she became a regular presence on the channel as it slowly began changing its programming from rock to more pop, R&B, dance, hybrid playlists, along with artists such as Madonna and Janet Jackson. On the week of March 8, 1986, a year after its initial release, Whitney Houston topped the Billboard 200 album charts and stayed there for 14 consecutive weeks. The final single, The Greatest Love of All, a cover of The Greatest Love of All, originally recorded by George Benson in 1977, became her biggest hit yet. The single peaked at #1 and stayed and remained there for 3 weeks, making her debut the first album by a woman to yield 3 #1 hit singles. She ended 1986 as the top artist of the year, while her debut album topped the Billboard year-end charts, making her the first woman to earn that distinction. At the time the album was the best-selling debut by a solo artist, the album would later be certified diamond for sales of 13 million copies alone in the US, while selling over 22 million copies worldwide. In July of 1986, she released her first world tour, The Greatest Love World Tour, which she mainly performed in North America, Australia, Japan, and Europe. The tour lasted into December, ending in Hawaii. At the 1986 Grammy Awards, she was nominated for 3 awards, including Album of the Year. She was ineligible for the Best New Artist category because of her previous hit R&B duet recording with Teddy Pendergrass in 1984. She won her first Grammy for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance for Saving All My Love for You. She also won 7 American Music Awards in total in 1986 and 1987, and a Video Music Award. The album popularity will carry over to the 1987 Grammys, where The Greatest Love of All will receive a Record of the Year nomination. Her grand entrance into the music industry is considered one of the 25 musical milestones of the last 25 years, according to USA Today. Following her tremendous success, doors were open for other African-American female performers such as Janet Jackson and Anita Baker. On June 2nd, 1987, she followed the monumental success with her first album with a second release entitled Whitney. Her sophomore album is the second album by Whitney Houston, released on June 2nd, 1987 by Arista Records as the follow-up to a best-selling debut album. That album featured 5 top 10 hits on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, which also became international hits. The album's first 4 singles, I Wanna Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me, Then We Almost Have It All, So Emotional, Where Do Broken Hearts Go, all peaked at number 1 on the U.S. Hot 100, making her the first female act to achieve 4 number 1 hits from one album. The album again featured production from Michael Massa, Kashif, and Nevada Warden, as well as Jelly Bean. Many critics complained that the material is similar to a previous album. Rolling Stone said the narrow channel through which this talent is still directed is frustrating. Still, the album enjoyed commercial success. She became the first woman in music to debut number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart, and the first artist to enter the album charts at number 1 on the US and the UK while hitting number 1 or number 10 in dozens of countries around the world. The album's first single, I Wanna Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me, was a massive hit worldwide, peaking at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, topping the single charts in 17 countries. Her next 3 singles, Then We Almost Have It All, So Emotional, and Where Do Broken Hearts Go, all peaked at number 1 on the US pop charts, giving her a record a total of 7 number 1 hits. The previous record of 6 consecutive number 1 hits has been shared by the Beatles and the Bee Gees. Whitney Houston became the first woman to generate 4 number 1 singles from one album. Whitney has been certified diamond in the U.S. for shipments over 10 million copies and sold over a total of 20 million copies worldwide. After 30 Grammys Award at 1988, Whitney Houston was nominated for 3 awards, including Album of the Year. She won her second Grammy for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance for I Wanna Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me. Whitney Houston also won 2 American Music Awards in 1988 and 1989, respectively, a Soul Train Music Award. Following the release of the album, Whitney Houston embarked on the Moment of Truth World Tour, which was one of the 10 highest grossing concert tours of 1987. The success of the tours during 1987 and 1986 and her 2 studio albums ranked Whitney Houston number 8 for the highest earning entertainers list according to Forbes. She was the highest earning African American woman overall, the highest earning musician, and the 3rd highest entertainer after Bill Cosby and Eddie Murphy. She was a supporter of Nelson Mandela and the anti-apartheid movement. During her modeling days, she refused to work with agencies who done business with the then apartheid South Africa. During this time, she also appeared in a concert for Nelson Mandela's birthday and found the Whitney Houston Foundation for Children, a nonprofit organization that found projects to help needy children around the world. With the success of her first 2 albums, she became an international crossover superstar, appealing to all demographics. Somehow, some backlash critics believed she was selling out. She felt her singing was on record lacking the soul that was presented during her live concerts. At the 1989 Soul Train Music Award, when her name was called for a nomination, a few in the audience jeered. Whitney Houston defended herself against the criticism, stating, "If you gonna have a long career, there's a certain way to do it, and I did it that way. I wasn't ashamed of it." On November 6, 1990, she released her third album, I'm Your Baby Tonight. Her previous efforts mainly chosen by the label. With this project, however, she had more creative control over the album content. Most songs on the album were R&B based due to backlash from black communities, feeling that Whitney strayed away by going pop. She took a more urban direction with her third studio album. She produced and chose producer for this album. As a result, it featured production and collaborations with L.A. Reid and Babyface, Luther Vandross, and Stevie Wonder. The album showed her range on a new batch of tough rhythm, grooves, and soulful ballads and up-tempo dance track. Reviews were mixed. I'm Your Baby Tonight contains several hits. The first two singles, I'm Your Baby Tonight and All the Men That I Need, peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. Miracle peaked at number 9. My Name Is Not Susan peaked at the top 20. I Belong to You reached top 10 on the U.S. R&B charts and earned her a Grammy nomination. The sixth single, the Stevie Wonder duet We Didn't Know, reached the R&B top 20. I'm Your Baby Tonight peaked at number 3 on the Billboard 200. It went on to be certified 4 times platinum in the U.S. while selling 10 million records worldwide. At the 1991 Super Bowl, Whitney Houston delivered arguably the greatest performance of the Star-Spangled Banner. The performance was sentimental as it occurred in the midst of the Gulf War, and a commercial single of the performance, which was produced, reached the top 20 on the Billboard Hot 100 as the single proceeds donated to the American Red Cross Gulf Crisis Fund. Throughout the 1980s, Whitney Houston was romantically linked to musician Jermaine Jackson, football star Randall Cunningham, and Eddie Murphy. By 1992, Whitney was on top of the world, but her life was about to get very complicated very quick. Then she met R&B singer Bobby Brown at the 1989 Soul Train Music Awards. After a 3-year relationship, the two were married on July 18, 1992. At first, the marriage was passionate and loving, then things turned sour as the decade progressed. Both Whitney and Bobby battled substance abuse and increased erratic behavior, with Whitney later alluding to emotional abuse from Bobby and domestic violence. On March 4th, 1993, she gave birth to their daughter, Bobbi Kristina Brown, the couple's only child. She revealed in a 1993 interview with Bobby Walters that she had suffered a miscarriage during the filming of The Bodyguard. With the massive commercial success of her music, film offers were pouring in, including offers to work with Robert De Niro, Quincy Jones, and Spike Lee, but she never felt the timing was right. In spite of these growing personal troubles, She continued to progress in her career, crossing over successfully into acting in 1992 by starring opposite Kevin Costner in the wildly popular movie The Bodyguard. With this project, she set a trend for her films to follow. For each movie, she also released hit singles, creating sensational record sales for the soundtracks. Her first film role was in The Bodyguard, released in 1992. She played a superstar named Rachel Menron, who is stalked by a crazy fan and hires a bodyguard played by Kevin Costner to protect her. Her mainstream appeal allow audiences to look past the interracial nature of her character relationship with Kevin Costner's character. However, controversy arose as some felt her face has been intentionally left out the film's advertising to hide the film interracial relationship. However, the film was generally panned by critics who criticized its screenplay and its performances of its lead actors. Despite the film's mixed reviews, it was hugely successful in the box office, grossing more than $121 million in the US and $410 million worldwide, making it one of the top 100 grossing films in film history at the time of its release. Although it later fell out the top 100 because of the rising ticket prices since the time the film was released. The biggest success was the soundtrack to The Bodyguard. The winner of the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, this remains the best-selling soundtrack album in music history. The album's first half features 6 pop songs performed by Whitney. Her smash single from The Bodyguard was a cover of Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You from 1974, proved to be her biggest hit yet ever, spending a record-breaking 14 weeks on top of the U.S. charts. With the next 2 top 5 singles with her cover of I'm Every Woman, originally a Shaka Khan hit, and I Have Nothing, following on the heels of I Will Always Love You. Whitney Houston became the first female act to have 3 songs in the top 20 simultaneously. 2 songs, I Run to You and I Have Nothing, were each nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Song, but lost out to A Whole New World from the animated film Aladdin. The same 2 songs were nominated for Grammy Awards in the categories Best Song Written especially for a Motion Picture or for television. With the follow-up singles I Am Every Woman, a Shaka Khan cover, and I Have Nothing, both reaching the top 5, she became the first woman to ever have 3 singles in the top 11 simultaneously. The album was certified 18 times platinum in the US alone, with worldwide sales of 45 million copies. The album became the best-selling soundtrack album of all time. At the 36th Annual Grammy Awards, Whitney won multiple Grammys, including Record of the Year, Best Female Pop Vocal Performance for I Will Always Love You, and the 1994 Grammy Award for Album of the Year for the soundtrack, becoming the second African American woman to win that award in that category after Natalie Cole's Unforgettable with Love album. And in addition, she won a record 8 American Music Awards that year ceremony, including 11 Billboard Music Awards, 3 Soul Train Music Awards in 1993 and through 1994, including Sammy Davis Jr. Award as Entertainer of the Year, Best 5 NAACP Image Awards, including Entertainment of the Year, a record of 5 World Music Awards, and a Brit Award. In 1995, she starred in her second film, Waiting to Exhale, alongside Angela Bassett, Loretta Devine, and Lachelle Rawson. A motion picture about 4 African American women struggling with a relationship. Whitney played the lead character Savannah Jackson, a television producer in love with a married man. She chose the role because she saw the film as a breakthrough for the image of black women, because it presents them both as professionals and caring mothers. After opening number 1 and grossing $67 million at the U.S. at the box office and $81 million worldwide, it proved a movie primarily targeting a black audience can cross over to success while paving the way for other all-star black movies. The soundtrack to the film was written and produced by Babyface. Although he originally wanted Whitney to record the whole album, she declined. Instead, she wanted to be an album of women with vocal distinct, and gather several African American female musical artists for the soundtrack to go along with the film's message about strong women. The album featured a range of contemporary R&B female artists along with Whitney, such as Mary J. Blige, Brandy, Toni Braxton, Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, etc., etc. Exhale became the third single in music history to debut at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 after Michael Jackson's You're Not Alone and Mariah Carey's Fantasy. It will also spend a record 11 weeks at number 2 and number 8 and 8 weeks on top of the R&B charts. Her second most successful single on that chart after I Will Always Love You, Count on Me, a duet with CeCe Winans, hit the U.S. top 10, and her third contribution, Why Does It Hurt So Bad, made the top 30. The album was certified 7 times platinum with shipment of 7 million copies. The soundtrack received strong reviews and ranked as one of the best movie soundtracks ever. In 1996, she starred in the holiday comedy The Preacher's Wife with Denzel Washington. She plays a gospel singing wife of a pastor who is played by Courtney B. Vance. It was largely an updated remake of the 1948 film The Bishop's Wife. She earned $10 million for the role, making her the highest paid actresses in Hollywood at the time and the highest earning African American actresses in Hollywood. The movie, with its all-American African American cast, was a modest success, earning about $50 million at the U.S. box offices. The movie gave Whitney her strongest review so far. She recorded and co-produced with Maureen Warren the film accompanied gospel soundtrack. The Gospel Wife original soundtrack included 6 gospel songs with Georgia Master Choir that was recorded at Great Store Rising Baptist Church in Atlanta. Whitney also did duet with gospel legend Shirley Caesar. The album sold 6 million copies worldwide and scored hit singles with I Believe in You and Me and Step by Step, becoming the largest selling gospel album of all time. The album received mainly positive reviews. She won Favorite Adult Contemporary Artist at the 1997 American Music Awards for The Preacher's Wife soundtrack. In 1997, she starred in a made-for-television remake of Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella. In addition to co-producing, she starred in the film as the fairy godmother along with Brandy, Jason Alexander, Whoopi Goldberg, and Bernstein Peters. The film was notable for its multiracial and non-stereotypical cast and messages. An estimated 60 million viewers tuned in the special, giving its ABC its highest TV ratings in 16 years. The movie received 7 Emmy nominations, including Outstanding Variety, Musical or Comedy, while winning Outstanding Art Direction in a Variety, Musical and or Comedy Special. On November 17th, 1998, she released her 4th single, My Love Is Your Love, her first studio album in 8 years at the time, and 4th studio album overall. My Love Is Your Love sonically influenced primarily by the contemporary R&B and hip-hop sound at the era. Although originally it's stated to be a greatest hit album, handful with new songs, recording sessions were fruitful that a new studio-length album was released. Recorded and mixed in only 6 weeks, it featured production from Rodney Jenkins, Wyclef Jean, and Missy Elliott, Babyface, etc., etc. The album debuted at number 13, its peak position on the Billboard 200. It had a funky and edgy sound than its past release, and it saw her handling urban dance, hip-hop, mid-tempo R&B, reggae, torch songs, and ballads were all great touch. It generated several hit singles. When You Believe, a duet with Mariah Carey, which won an Academy Award for Best Original Song at the 71 Annual Academy Awards. Heartbreak Hotel, which featured Kelly Price and Faith Evans. It's Not Right, But It's Okay, the title track. My Love Is Your Love. It was certified platinum, and her 3rd best-selling single, I Learned From the Best. My Love Is Your Love received positive reviews and regarded by critics as one of her best releases. At the 42nd Grammys Awards of 2000, the album received 6 nominations, including Best R&B Album and Best R&B Song twice. She won Best Female R&B Vocal Performance for It's Not Right, But It's Okay, giving her 6th and final Grammy Award. Her collaboration with Mariah Carey in the animated Prince of Egypt produced a hit single, When You Believe, which won an Academy Award for Best Original Song. In the late 90s and early 2000s, her increasingly rocky marriage, struggle with drugs, and health problems threatened to derail her career. Several concert cancellations, and a notorious TV interview with Diane Sawyer in 2002, was Whitney appeared far too thin and in poor health, led many to speculate that she was on the verge of a breakdown. Although Whitney was seen as a good girl with a perfect image in the 1980s and early 90s, her behavior had changed by 1999 and 2000. She was often hours late for interviews, photo shoots, and rehearsals. She canceled concerts and talk show appearances. There were reports of erratic behavior, mixed performances, and weight loss led to rumors about Whitney using drugs with her husband. On January 11, 2000, while traveling with Bobbi, airport securities discovered a half an ounce of marijuana in her handbag at Keyhole International Airport in Hawaii, but she departed before authorities could arrive. Charges against her were later dropped, but rumors of drug use by Bobbi and Whitney continued to surface. In August of 2001, she signed the biggest record deal in music history with Arista/BMG. She renewed her contract for $100 million to release 6 new albums, which she also earn royalties. She later made an appearance on Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary special where her extremely thin fin further spurred rumors of drug use. Her publicist stated Whitney had been under stress due to family matter where she under stress and doesn't eat. On December 10th, 2002, she released her 5th album, Just Whitney. Just Whitney was the follow-up to her 1998 multi-platinum album, My Love Is Your Love. The album was released on December 10th, 2002, after she re-signed with Arista Records on a $100 million record contract. The album featured production from Babyface, Missy Elliott, Shakespeare, and Bobby Brown, among others. Whitney spoke to Billboard about the type of album she wanted to create, a positive, feel-good, very soul-oriented album, something I felt was missing. I hear a lot of things on the radio, but I don't hear any R&B songs with bold new flavors, songs that you could sing to and then love the melody. That's what I'm looking for. The album received mixed reviews, but still achieved platinum status with the support of the singles What You Looking At, One of Those Days, and Try It On My Own, and Love That Man. In late 2003, Whitney released her first Christmas album, One Wish the Holiday Album, a collection of traditional holiday songs. She produced the album with Marion Warren and Gordon Chambers. A single entitled One Wish for Christmas reached the top 20 on an adult temporary chart, and the album was certified gold in the U.S. In 2004, when production began on a television reality series, Being Bobby Brown, Whitney received airtime. The show aired during the worst years of the couple's crumbling marriage. Drug use, lifestyle excel, and bad behavior were all caught on tape, and her reputation sunk to new lows. She tried to ignore the controversy by charging ahead with her music by releasing Just Whitney just to combat her controversy, but it didn't match the success of her earlier works. Her participation in the show, people were saying the most disrespectful things about her, saying things like she had lost the last remains of her dignity The show was undoubtedly the most disgusting and horrible series to ooze its way onto television. Despite the horrible train wreck nature of the show, the series gave Bravo its highest ratings in its slot time and continued her successful forays into film and television. The show wasn't renewed for a second season after Whitney said she no longer appeared in it, and Bobbi and Bravo couldn't come to an agreement for another season. Despite her troubled relationship, she was still being celebrated as a singer, being named the most awarded female artist of all time by Guinness World Records in 2006. In 2007, she took a break from her career. Bobbi and Whitney divorced and won sole custody of Bobbi Kristina. Over the next few years, Whitney attempted to repair her marriage and attempt to break her drug habit. But after several relapses, Sissy had to step in. On August 28, 2009, she released her seventh and final studio album, I Look to You. The album marked her first of new material in 7 years since the release of Just Whitney in 2002. The album produced a total of 2 singles, I Look to You and $1 Million Bill. Commercially, I Look to You peaked at number 70 on the Billboard Hot 100, while $1 Million Bill peaked at number 100. $1 Million Bill was the final single to appear on the Hot 100 during the time she was alive. The album entered the Billboard 200 at number 1 with her best opening week sales of 305,000 copies, making her first number 1 album since The Bodyguard and her first studio album to reach number 1 since her 1987's Whitney. 3 weeks after its release, I Look to You went gold. Whitney also gave her first interview in 7 years in September of 2009, appearing on Oprah Winfrey's season premiere. The interview was billed as the most anticipated interview of the decade. Whitney admitted on the show to using drugs with Bobbi during their marriage. She also told Oprah that before The Bodyguard, her drug use was light, that she used drugs more heavily after the film's success and the birth of her daughter, and that by 1996, doing drugs was an everyday thing. I wasn't happy by that point in time. I was losing myself. Whitney told Oprah that she had attended a 30-day rehabilitation program. She also acknowledged to Oprah that her drug use has continued after rehabilitation, and that at one point her mother obtained a court order and the assistance of law enforcement to press her into receiving further drug treatment. She later embarked on a world tour entitled the Nothing But Love World Tour, her first world tour in over 10 years, and it was announced as a triumph comeback. However, some poor reviews and rescheduled concerts brought negative media attention. She canceled some concerts because of illness and received worldwide negative reviews from fans who were disappointed in the quality of her voice and performance. Some fans reportedly walked out of her concerts. On January 16, she received the BET Honor Award for Entertainer, citing her lifetime achievement spanning over 25 years in the industry. In 2011, she enrolled in a rehab center again, citing drug and alcohol problems. A publicist for Whitney Houston said the outpatient treatment was a part of her long-standing recovery process. In September 2011, Hollywood Reporter announced that Whitney would produce and star alongside Jordan Sparks and Mike Epps in a remake of the 1976 film Sparkle. In the film, she portrays Jordan Sparks' not so encouraging mother. Also, Whitney is credited as the executive producer of the film. The remake of Sparkle was filmed in late 2011 over 2 months and was released by TriStar Pictures on May 21st, 2012. Celebrate the last song Whitney Houston recorded with Jordan Sparks premiere at RyanSeacrest.com. It was made available for digital download on iTunes on June 5th. The single featured on the Sparkle music from the Motion Picture soundtrack as the first official single. The movie was released on August 17, 2012 in the United States. She also reportedly has been approached to join the singing competition series The X Factor as a judge. Unfortunately, Whitney didn't live enough to see the latest comeback reach fruition. And on the final days of her life, she reportedly appeared disheveled and erratic. On February 9th, 2012, she visited Monica and Brandy together with Clive Davis at their rehearsals for his pre-Grammy Awards party at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills. That same day, she made her last public appearance when she joined Kelly Price on stage in Hollywood, California, and sang Jesus Love Me. On February 11th, 2012, the world's beautiful and heavenly voice passed away. She was 48 years old. An invitation-only memorial service was held for Whitney on February 18th, 2012, at the New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, New Jersey. The service was scheduled for 2 hours, but lasted 4. Among those who performed at the funeral were Stevie Wonder, Alicia Keys, Kim Burrell, CeCe Winans, and R. Kelly. The performances were interspersed with hymns by the church choir and remarks by Kevin Costner, Dionne Warwick, and Kevin Costner, and Clive Davis. Aretha Franklin was listed on the program and was expected to sing, but was unable to attend the service. Bobby Brown departed shortly after the service. She was buried on February 19, 2012 in Fairview Cemetery in Westfield, New Jersey, next to her father, who had died in 2003. A month later, her official autopsy report came out. The official cause of her death was an accidentally drowning, and the effects of heart disease and cocaine found in her system were contributing factors as well. Numerous channels and celebrities paid tribute to Whitney everywhere, including at the 54th Grammys Awards. At the start of the award ceremony, footage Whitney performing "I Will Always Love You" from the 1994 Grammys was shown following a prayer read by host LL Cool J, and later in the program, following a monolith of photos musicians who died in 2011, with Whitney singing "My Love for You" at the 1986 Grammys. Jennifer Hudson played tribute to Whitney and other artists by performing "I Will Always Love You." The tribute was partially credited for the Grammys telecast getting its second highest ratings in history. She was honored continuously with various tributes. She sold over 3.7 million albums and 4.3 million singles worldwide in the first 10 months of the year she died. Just 24 hours of her passing between news of her death, her music skyrocketed back on the charts and on different music streaming sites like iTunes. Her daughter, Bobbi Kristina, dealt with so many tragedy and drama after the death of her mother. She was hospitalized immediately after the passing of Whitney due to emotional trauma, but later spoke to Oprah Winfrey about returning to her mother's home and feeling her mother's presence. She left everything to her daughter, but eventually the singer's sister-in-law, Pat Houston, became the executor of the estate. Bobbi Kristina had public conflicts with her grandmother, Cicely, over the publishing of the Houston biography, Remembering Whitney. In early 2014, she was reportedly had been married to Nick Gordon, who has been taken in by Whitney during his childhood and raised with Bobbi Kristina, and yet later reports stated that they weren't legally wed. On January 30th, 2015, nearly 3 years to the date of her mother's death, Bobbi Kristina was discovered face down in a bathtub in her Roswell, Georgia home by associate Max Lomas. After being admitted to North Fulton Hospital, she was eventually taken to University Hospital, being placed in a medically induced coma. Bobbi Kristina Brown died on July 26, 2015 at Peachtree Christian Hospital in Georgia. She was 22 years old. Ever since Whitney's death, her life, career, and death have been the subject of many documentaries and specials. A TV document film entitled "Whitney, Can I Be Me?" aired on Showtime on August 25th, 2017. The film was directed by Nick Broomfield. And the 2018 documentary Whitney, which was premiered in July of 2018, the documentary premiered at Cannes Film Festival. And the doc, it is revealed that her cousin, Dee Warwick, the sister of Dionne Warwick, allegedly abused the singer. Her brothers told filmmakers that he was abused by Dee, and I believe his sister was too. The documentary also provided insight into her relationship with drugs. Her brother Michael admitted that he gave her marijuana and cocaine as a gift for her 16th birthday, as well as her wonderful kinship and friendship with fellow pop superstar Michael Jackson. Following the The following year brought more revelations to the singer's private life with the publication of A Song for You, My Life with Whitney Houston by Robin Crawford, a longtime friend and an assistant. Robin Crawford has confirmed that the two had a romantic relationship before Whitney became a global superstar. In 2019, Whitney and Kygo's version of Higher Love was released as a single. The record became a worldwide hit. It peaked on number 2 on the U.S. single charts and reached the top 10 in several countries. Higher Love was nominated at the 2020 Billboard Music Awards for Top Dance Electric Song of the Year, the 2020 iHeartRadio Music Award for Dance Song of the Year, and Best Remix. It was certified multi-platinum in the U.S., Australia, Canada, Poland, and the United Kingdom. The song was also a platinum hit in Denmark, Switzerland. On January 15, 2020, it was announced that Whitney Houston also has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Whitney Houston was more than just an artist. She was a humanitarian with a good heart. She was a longtime supporter of several charities all around the world. In 1989, she established the Whitney Houston Foundation for Children. It offered medical assistance to sick and homeless children to prevent child abuse, taught children how to read, created inner city parks and playgrounds, and granted college scholarships, including one to the Juilliard School. She donated all the earnings from her 1991 Super Bowl performance of the Star Spangled Banner sales to the Gulf War servicemen and their families. In addition, Whitney Houston became an activist for the fight against AIDS and HIV. During the first decade of the AIDS epidemic, the Whitney Houston Foundation for Children in particular focused on helping children who suffered from HIV/AIDS, among other issues. Whitney Houston wasn't just a singer with a beautiful voice. She was a true musician. Her voice was an instrument, and she knew how to use it. With the same company as someone who mastered the violin or piano, Whitney mastered the use of her voice. Whitney Houston really is really a true representation of everything that we love about a performer. She was beautiful, incredibly talented, and had fantastic stage presence and truly wild audience, whether in concerts or behind the screen. She worked tirelessly to cement her rank as the greatest female artist of all time. In 2012, when she passed away, the world truly lost a beautiful soul. However, she left a legacy that will always be appreciated and never matched. Whitney signified herself as a true powerhouse. She was America's sweetheart despite her marriage to Bobby Brown. Even in sharing the spotlight, she stood on her own. Whitney is a legend and personally my favorite female musician of all time. While not the gifted writer like some artists, and more than just a voice, She brought so much life to songs that haven't been as great if she haven't sung them. She is truly a treasure in music, and I think her best album remains her self-titled first album. That album is flawless and featured nothing but hits and classics, and she displayed her vocal range. After a couple of years, we finally make it to The Voice. We make it to the artist who forever changed both pop and R&B forever. We can all go home now. Before Whitney, there was vocal powerhouses for a sense. You had your Aretha's, you had your Dianes, your Patties, and your Gladyses. However, Whitney Houston was, for me, the pinnacle of greatness when it comes to voices. From her legacy, we get to the Mariahs, the Toni Braxtons, the Beyoncés, the Jasmine Sullivans. Her ability to use her voice excels, scurrying to find multi-octave hidden artists who can switch from silky smooth to power ballad on some 0 to 100 stuff. I mean, even on airy feel-good pop songs like I Wanna Dance With Somebody, she brought out her big voice and straight killed the track. Whitney was a woman who, on our final album that was released after she went through, a lot, she still showcased excellence. She could bring feeling of love, pain, and satisfaction to your ears with just the turn of a phrase. Her other best work seems to come from soundtracks, which says a lot about her ability. She took songs from her movies, The Bodyguard, Waiting to Exhale, The Preacher's Wife, and made them into classics. Her career is unparalleled, and despite her untimely and sketchy death, Whitney is forever remain one of the greatest. There is no debate that she's one of the greatest and powerful vocalists / artists of all time and a cultural icon. Miss Houston's voice was the world's view. She was someone to be admired like a museum piece more than emulated. Her voice was clean, strong, barely any grit, well suited to the songs of love and aspiration. Hers was a voice of triumph and achievement, and it made for any number of stunning, time-stopping vocal performances. Everything about her stands like monuments upon the landscape of 20th century pop, defying the architect of their times, sheltering the dreams of millions and inspiring climbing careers of countless imitators. She also recognized as one of the most influential R&B artists in history. Black female musicians such as Janet Jackson and Anita Baker were successful in popular music partly because Whitney Houston paved the way. Without her contributions to reshaping and capitalizing modern popular music, contemporary black artists from Janet Jackson to Lizzo to Enormi may have continued to be placed in boxes based on their race and not their music. Contemporary singers who had publicly acknowledged the impact Whitney had on their artistry, such as Adele, Lady Gaga, Alicia Keys, Brandy, Jennifer Hudson, etc., etc. But they certainly not alone in sharing that influence. However, her trials do not distract from the fact that Whitney Houston had a revolutionary career as a black woman. Throughout her career, she released 7 studio albums, 3 movie soundtrack albums. She is considered to have one of the most powerful and moving voices beyond her lifetime and beyond. Whitney Houston left her mark on the world as one of the best selling artists and one of the most powerful voices ever heard. Whitney Houston reached a record of 7 consecutive #1 hits and became the first woman to produce 4 #1 hits from one album throughout the late 80s. Her success transcended music with her success as both an actress and a model. Whitney Houston influenced successful singers such as Mariah Carey, Christina Aguilera, Beyonce, etc. Throughout Whitney Houston's lifetime, her seemingly effort, powerless, and captivating voice touched the world, and music was forever changed. Before I end this birthday tribute and celebration to Queen Whitney, I just want to say how much Whitney and her presence meant to me. To me, Whitney Houston was more than just the queen of pop. She is the queen of music, period. She was the daily soundtrack to our lives, who were truly one of God's beautiful blessings. And when she sang, it made you feel like you're in heaven. She is truly one of the greatest to ever bless the world with her amazing presence. Happy heavenly birthday and continually resting peacefully in God's kingdom, Queen. We forever love and miss you so much, Whitney. Thank you for enjoying this musical and birthday tribute and celebration throughout the video with me. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. Also, don't forget to turn on your notification for new videos. Like I always say, let's celebrate our legends while they're still alive and always give them their flowers, love, respect, and recognition. Stay safe and blessed. Have a good night. I'm out. Peace.